Burkina Faso is a small, landlocked country in West Africa that most people have never heard of. But something happened there recently that the whole world should be talking about. Foreign companies looked at a stretch of land and said building a road across it would take 10 years and cost nearly $2 billion. A young military leader looked at those same numbers, shook his head, and told his own engineers they had 60 days. Not 10 years, 60 days. And they did it. Captain Ibrahim Traoré did not call a foreign company. He did not apply for a loan from the World Bank. He did not wait for permission from anyone outside his country. He simply looked at the Burkinabé engineers his country had been training for years, gave them the resources they needed, and told them to get to work. 332 kilometers of road, cleared, traced, and prepared, ahead of schedule, built with local money and local hands. To understand why this is such a big deal, you have to understand how things have worked in Africa for a very long time. The system went like this. A government needs a road. Foreign companies show up with proposals. The proposals come with enormous price tags, long timelines, foreign managers, imported equipment, and outside supervision. The government either borrows money to pay for it all or waits for international funding that comes with its own conditions attached. The road eventually gets built, sometimes. But the country ends up in debt, the expertise leaves when the foreign workers leave, and the whole cycle starts again with the next project. Burkina Faso was no different. The road connecting the capital, Ouagadougou, to the second city, Bobo-Dioulasso, had been talked about for over a decade. Maps were drawn, meetings were held, foreign consultants flew in, wrote reports, and flew back out. One proposal put the price at $1.87 billion and said construction would take 10 years. Another suggested a phased approach with international financing and foreign oversight. Meanwhile, the communities that depended on that corridor kept waiting. The economic lifeline between the two biggest cities in the country remained unfinished. Documents piled up. Nothing moved. Then Traoré made his decision. On December 16, 2025, he launched the Expressway project. But unlike most political announcements, the machines were already running before anyone finished clapping. Over 900 pieces of heavy equipment showed up. Bulldozers, excavators, graders, cement mixers. Not borrowed, not rented under foreign contracts, but purchased outright with Burkinabé money. 200 billion CFA francs, roughly $357 million, drawn directly from the national budget. No loan applications, no conditions, no foreign company taking the majority of the money before a single stone was laid. The workforce was Burkinabé. The engineers were Burkinabé. The laborers were Burkinabé. Teams worked around the clock in 3 shifts, 24 hours a day, because the timeline was not flexible. And when 60 days passed, the job was done. Now here's the part that reveals something uncomfortable. Why was the foreign estimate $1.87 billion when Burkina Faso completed the work for $357 million? That is not a small gap. That is not explained by exchange rates or accounting differences. That is a system difference, a structural difference, a gap built by decades of inflated contracts, hidden fees, kickbacks, consultancy charges for consultants who never showed up, and materials billed at triple their actual cost. Studies from multiple African countries have documented this pattern in painful detail. In Kenya, a road project listed at 6 million shillings was found to actually cost around 400,000 shillings to build. In Cameroon, auditors discovered roads marked as completed that did not exist anywhere except on paper. Funds had been paid, paperwork had been signed, and contractors had billed for work that was never done. In Tanzania, investigators found that used vehicles and expired supplies were being delivered while invoices described them as brand new. The officials meant to provide oversight were often the same people benefiting from the arrangement, so nothing ever got flagged. The model that Burkina Faso walked away from was not just inefficient. It was designed this way. Foreign contractors need governments to stay inside the system, and they structure deals to make that happen. A politician receives a quiet percentage for approving a contract. The contractor inflates the total cost to cover that payment and still walk away with enormous profit. The country gets a road that costs 3 times what it should and begins falling apart within a few years. Then new contracts are needed for repairs, and the whole machine starts again. The longer a project runs, the more money flows. So timelines stretch, complications appear, and costs multiply. When Traoré removed the foreign contractors, he removed the whole structure that depended on keeping things slow and expensive. By purchasing equipment instead of leasing it, he eliminated the monthly rental fees that foreign companies charged for machines worth a fraction of what they build. By running continuous shifts, he cut out the deliberate delays that contractors use to add time and cost. By using Burkinabé workers supervised by Burkinabé engineers, he kept the money and the knowledge inside the country. The equipment does not leave when the project ends. The engineers do not pack up and fly home. Everything built stays. What makes people in other countries angry when they hear this story is the question it forces them to ask. Why were we paying foreign companies 10 times what it actually costs? Burkina Faso has been training engineers at the Higher Institute of Electrical Engineering in Ouagadougou since 2003. 5-year programs, practical placements, graduates ready to work on real projects. During the mining expansion in the country, companies were fighting over those engineers because there were not enough of them to go around. The expertise existed the whole time. Foreign contractors convinced governments across the continent that local professionals were not capable of handling serious work. That message was delivered so consistently and for so long that many governments started to believe it. Traoré looked at that belief and rejected it. He told his engineers to prove the world wrong. They did. This road is not a single event. It is part of a wider transformation Traoré announced under an initiative called Faso Mayabo, which means build the country. The goal is to pave between 3,000 and 5,000 kilometers of roads every year. That number sounds extraordinary because it is. Most African countries do not reach that total in a full decade, and Burkina Faso is attempting this while also dealing with a security crisis, while operating under Western pressure and without the international financial support most development projects depend on. At the end of 2025, Traoré announced that Burkina Faso had achieved food self-sufficiency for the first time. The country nationalized its gold mines and opened a national refinery processing 150 tons annually. It rejected IMF and World Bank loan packages. It required foreign mining companies to hand 15% ownership to the state and transfer skills to local workers. Each of these moves follows the same logic. Stop selling raw resources and receiving almost nothing in return. Stop borrowing money with conditions attached. Stop outsourcing expertise that exists right here at home. Leaders across Africa noticed. When Traoré attended the inauguration of Ghana's new president in January 2025, he received louder applause than any other African head of state present. Not because of his speeches, because of what he had already done. Nigeria has engineers. Kenya has infrastructure specialists. Ethiopia built its own massive dam despite enormous external pressure. Morocco built the continent's first high-speed rail line. The capacity is real, and it exists across Africa. What has been missing is not skill or knowledge. What has been missing is the decision to trust it. 60 days, 332 kilometers, $357 million instead of $1.87 billion. That is not just a road, that is proof. And proof, once it exists, is very difficult to argue with.